really going out there, educating fathers about what it is that we do, and then really talking about policies and procedures. Because I think the biggest barrier is that fathers don't understand child support, and then also they're scared to interact with us. Me being out there and being in these spaces, they kind of, surprised.
Welcome to the Fathering Strong podcast. Each week, we have an interesting conversation with dads, fatherhood practitioners, and experts on matters of importance to men and fathers. Thanks for joining us. With today's episode, here's your Fathering Strong podcast host, Eli Williams.
Thank you for joining us for this installment of the Fathering Strong podcast. We are excited that you are here with us today. Thank you so much. Our guest today is Joe Scrutchen, and he is the Fatherhood Coordinator here in Ohio at Columbus, which is actually Franklin County. He's Social Program Director, but his specialty is dads. We are glad to have you, Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Eli. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, listen, we want to get started by introducing you or allowing you to introduce yourself to our audience today. And as we usually do, we'd like to start with you sharing with us your experience growing up. What was life like in the household where you grew up, including your relationship with your dad?
Okay. So like Eli said, my name is Joe Scrutchen. I would say just the life in my household with my family was good. It was great. I had both of my parents. We lived in the same household up until I was about 13 or 14. Then my parents decided to separate, and co-parenting was great between them. So that's how I know co-parenting definitely can be done. The way they did it was wonderful. I think it had to do with my mother really understanding that the importance of having my father around. My father taught me so much stuff, how to be patient, how to wait. I would sometimes go to him like, well, what about this? And I'm ready to do this. And he would, say, wait a minute, just make sure you're ready. So, when they call your number, you make sure you're ready to take that next step in preparation, right? So being prepared and being, that preparation is something that he always taught me. So me always being ready to make that next move, right? He taught me emotional, how to not respond emotionally, right? Sit back for a minute and gather your thoughts and kind of see how you want to deal with this. Don't just go off of the first thing that you come to mind. Sometimes that work, but sometimes you got to kind of sit back for a minute and chill, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, It sounds like you really have a wise father who did a great job, sounds to me, in raising you and preparing you for life.
Yeah, yep. I definitely think about him a lot. My father, he passed away 8 years ago. So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Really, just doing this work always remind me of, him and, the reason why I do it. And, me having him as a role model has definitely shaped the man that I have become today. So, yeah.
So what was the secret sauce to your parents, even though they're separated, were able to maintain a good co-parenting relationship?
You know what? I think communication, right? Just understanding both understanding each other's value, right? I think that was the biggest thing as I sit here and I do the work that I do, but thinking back on my life too is like understanding each other's value and what they bring to the table when it comes to raising kids.
Well, that's awesome. So many parents, they don't understand that, and as a result, they allow their issues with the other parent to cause them to actually put up barriers that prevents that other parent from having the positive impact that they could have on their child.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
I'm sure you see a lot of that, and
Yes.
it's encouraging to hear your story, and I know that there are many more like it, but far too many where the relationship between the mother and the father are such that they don't work together in order to raise that child together. Because the child, no matter what happened between them, that child needs both of them. Isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. So do you have siblings?
I do. So I have 2 sisters. I am the oldest, so I have 2 sisters that, we pretty close. We spend holidays and stuff together and try to support each other. So, yeah, you know,
Good.
yeah.
So you're the only boy in a household with 2
Yes.
sisters.
Yes.
What was that like? What was that like?
I think that kinda made, me and my dad's relationship a little bit closer, right? Because we kinda bonded over a lot of different things, football, lot of sports, just going out, maybe even my dad loved working on cars, so he would teach me stuff like that, so that bond was like tight, that was a real tight bond that we had together, so, yeah, and the 2 sisters just trying to maintain the relationship while we was in the household, yeah, but gotta maintain the peace, I say.
Now, were they both older or younger, or what
No,
was the age difference?
so one is 3 years younger than me, then the other one is 11 years younger, right?
Oh, so
So
you're big brother.
yes, yes. So
Gotcha.
they look up to me and they look to me for a lot of different advice, so yeah.
So how did all of that, your growing up circumstances and the relationships in your household and in your life as a young man, how did that prepare you for being a father?
I think it prepared me well. I mean, I can remember like when, my wife right now letting me know like, hey, I'm pregnant with my first son and I can just remember sitting on my mom's couch and calling my dad and letting him know like, hey, I'm about to have a kid. And his first question was like, so what you gonna do? And my dad was a real firm dude. So when he said something, he meant it, so I just told him like, look, I'm gonna do the same thing you did for me. Take care of my kids and be there and be in their life. So, really, him being that active father is like really something that I just carried over, and everything that he did for me, I do for my kids.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So now you have stories you can share with the young men that whose lives you impact to
yeah.
help them get off to a good start as a father. So let's talk about that some. Your work with fathers. Um, what's your average day like?
So average day, I think, well, I do presentations. So we go out, we do presentations, we interact with a lot of different organizations, right? So we have our partnerships. We're working with, Action for Children, Father Up. We're working with Jewish Family Services. We're working with the JFS Men's Empowerment Unit, Dads to Be. So really going out there, educating fathers about what it is that we do, and then really talking about like our policies and procedures, because I think the biggest barrier is that fathers don't understand child support, and then also they're scared to interact with us, right? So me being out there and being in these spaces, they kind of, surprised, right? So I think that's part of my day. Another part is really coming back and doing some intensive case management to see like, how can we help this father? Is there anything that we can do? And one of the things that I do is I'm real, transparent, right? So if it's something I can do, I'll do it for you. If it's not, then this is where we at right now too, and we can look at maybe getting you some supportive services too. Yeah,
So this is Franklin County, which is just to our east here, our capital city, and probably largest county. I don't know that for sure, but the largest city at least. And Franklin County Child Support is not the typical child support agency, because you have a director who we had on earlier in the year, or maybe it was
okay.
last year,
Yeah,
um, because of her unique way of approaching child support as a support system for fathers and not just a collection agency, which I love. And it needs to be that. I mean, your model really needs to be replicated throughout the country, as far as I'm concerned, because you approach your work as allies of fathers rather than the the evil empire, who's just coming to take your money from
Mhm.
you. So I don't know how much you know about what happens in other child support agencies, but yours is quite different. So let's talk some more about that. So how do you go about establishing relationships with these men, even though they may have a rearage and all of that, may have made a lot of mistakes, but they're still struggling. How do you approach them?
I think our relationships is established through just me being my authentic self, right? So when I'm out in a community, when I'm out at events, when I'm out doing presentations, me just being my authentic self and letting them know that, look, I'm here for you, here to help you, not here to harm you, right? Not here to be punitive to you. I'm here to see how can we work together, right? So it's more so a work together model, not seeing how we can, be punitive to you. And I think that's been working for me so far. And really, I would say establishing a relationship, really like I go back to partnerships and collaboration, like really having people speak about Franklin County child support in a different manner, right? Really having them say, like, look, Franklin County child support, we know what they have done in the past, but right now they're, in the last few years, they really have turned a knee page and really looking at doing families or taking a family centered approach instead of a collections approach.
So Susan Brown is still your director.
Yes, yes. Susan
Okay.
is Moser. Yes.
All right. Excellent. So, um, how many are on your team? Are you the only fatherhood coordinator, only one that works in the job that you do?
Yes. So I'm a part of a social programs outreach unit, and it's I want to say 12 or 13 of us. Right. So we have a few different things that we got going on in that unit. So we have an outreach team where we have an outreach supervisor, and I think 4 or 5 outreach specialists that's going out into the community doing outreach at different events all the time. So we out at, if you want to say, the missions, we're out at different community events. So if somebody has an event and they want to have us there, we're out at them events. We're there, like summertime is like booming for us. So every weekend we have different events where we're really out doing this outreach to see how can we reach fathers, how can we reach mothers, what can we do to show child support, that we're rebranded in a different way. We have our No Kid in Ohio grant where we're doing outreach to youth ages 14 to 24, where we go out and we talk about the importance of a healthy relationship, the importance of fathers, and then we kind of talk about the importance of establishing fraternity as well. And with that grant, we have a project manager, but the grant is taught by someone that's 22, 23 years old. So it's peer to peer, teaching. So that's really like effective. And, I've been able to sit in on some of them as well and really, talk about fatherhood to the young man. And that's been effective as well. And then we have our SAVES grant too, which is Safe Access to Child Support, our domestic violence grant, where we have a guy that our project manager who does great work when it comes to really identifying people that's in them situations and seeing how can we get them resources, what can we put in place to make sure that they can access child support safely. So we have a lot of different things that's going on in our department. And, I would say that, we're really like, you know, as an agency, we really are doing a lot of great things.
Yeah, yes, you are. It's amazing. Are you able to say at this point whether or not you can attribute first of all, I should ask you, are your child support collections up compared to last year, the year before? How is it trending?
Mm, I would say that's something that we're kind of narrowing down on for 2026. So I don't want to kind of speak on that, but I would say that's something that we're kind of getting to for 2026 to see uh, what's next. Yeah.
So you can quantify
Yeah.
the impact of your approach to child support as opposed to what was done in the past and what most child support agencies actually do. I'd be really interested in hearing your report or from Susan
Mhm.
next year or whenever you get that done to see just how it shakes out on paper. Are
Yeah.
you have you seen an increase in child support collections and so on and so forth as a result of your approach? So, what does your partnership with um, fatherhood programs in the community look like? How do you work with them?
So I would say, so I think one of our best partnerships, I would say, is just Action for Children. I love working with them. Before I even started working with them, I went through the program myself to make sure, like, hey, is this something that, we can refer our fathers to? I want to make sure that it's a great program. And it is. I love working with, Action for Children. And I love presenting to the fathers and me kind of going through there and gaining that trust and them trusting me with the fathers. It's been great. It's been a great partnership. And, one thing I could say is that every time I do a presentation for Action for Children, the way they introduce me and the way they introduce child support is like, it's wonderful. It's respectful. It really shows like all the work that we are doing here and all the work that we're trying to do. So the partnership with them is great. A partnership with other fatherhood programs has been great because they know that what we're doing that. So we're not just talking, but we're actually walking it as well.
Excellent. So, how do you vet, or if you do, how do you vet fatherhood program curricula before you endorse it, or if you endorse it?
So I would say me just trying to, I like to go through the program myself. So me going through it or me kind of reading the curricula before I even send fathers over because I want to understand what's going on and what the fathers is going to get out of that program, right? We just don't want to send fathers to a program that we have no idea what's going on. That's kind of coming back on our end and
Sure.
we get a bad rep, right? We don't want to do that. We already had that in the past and we still getting over that rep right now. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's wise. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So, how would you approach, if you would at all, a curriculum? Let's say it's a faith-based organization and they've got a faith-based curriculum. Would you work with them, and how would you go about vetting that and forming that relationship?
So I would say the more collaboration is the better, right? We want to be everywhere. I mean, today, I think just to kind of speak about today, I was out at Franklin County Jail. We did kind of like a resource fair there where we went out and talked to fathers and we talked to mothers about child support and the services that we have and the services that we can provide. We talked about support services. So us being in different spaces, faith-based is one of them that we definitely would like to get into and really see, how can we work in that faith-based system. So really I was just like to go, like I said, I would like to go through the curriculum myself and see, but I think the more collaboration, the better. And yeah. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a short break, Joe, and when we come back, I'm going to ask you about the most frequent questions you get from dads, about child support. What are the biggest issues you see that these men face that you're then able to help them with? My guest today is Joe Scrutchen. This is Fathering Strong. We'll be back after this short timeout.
A recent survey of the greatest needs of fathers determined that many of them want to learn how to be the best dads they can be. This includes seeking advice on fatherhood, parenting skills, and understanding their role in a child's life. We're happy to announce the new Fathering Strong book and suite of resources that includes a workbook, 30-day devotional and journal, and workshop materials. Written by Fathering Strong's Bruce Stapleton, this package provides everything you need for your personal growth as the spiritual leader of your home. Get more information at thefatheringstrongbook.com. Purchase the materials wherever books are sold.
Joe Scrutchen is my guest today on the Fathering Strong podcast. I'm Eli Williams. We're grateful, Joe. We appreciate you being here. So as you're working with these men who have child support orders, what's the most common question you get from them about child support?
I would say visitation, shared parenting. That's the most common question because I think when you think about child support, a lot of men think if I'm paying child support, I automatically get to see my kids. And I have to really tell them, like, we have no say so over that, right? We're just the child support agency. We're just doing, I hate to say, but we're just doing the collections, right? So we send them over to the courts to get that shared parenting, file that shared parenting degree so that they can do that. So shared parenting and visitation, that is a common question that a lot of fathers really don't understand that it doesn't go hand in hand.
Yeah, I've got some strong opinions about that. You know, I do. It's I see it as an injustice. But that's a topic for another day. But I can see where that would put you in an awkward position because as far as they're concerned, you're the government.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And they
Yeah.
don't know the distinctions between the administrative functions of a child support agency, which is basically a collection agency,
Hmm.
and the court system, which is the
Yeah.
entity that oversees for visitation and parenting time and all of that. So it puts you in the middle of it, and it sounds like you figured out how to direct them, and you come alongside them to actually help them to
Yes.
make that connection.
Yeah.
Good. Does that satisfy most of them? Are you able to then move on and help them with the thing that you do, and help them as far as their account is concerned?
I would say so. I would say, I think it satisfies them. We have our Franklin County Self Representative Resource Center where we can kind of refer them over and they can get the paperwork that they need to file a motion, right? But then we also have one of our partners, which is the Job and Family Services Man's Empowerment Unit. And we can refer fathers over there as well to where they can walk with them through that process, right? That's a real big thing with them walking through the process and showing them. And then actually, if you want to do this, we here to help you. Hold you accountable with doing it as well, showing up for them court dates because this is something that you initiated. So really working with them and partner with them has been great for our agency too.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So they can use the pro se process and not even have to hire a lawyer because they've got someone at least showing them the right paperwork and kind of coaching them along.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, kudos to your team over there in Franklin County. That needs to be happening in every county. And I do every chance I get. I'm telling people they need to learn from what you guys are doing over there because it's amazing. It's good work. Okay, so that's the first question you get. That's probably the most on the tip of their tongues, because I know it's hard, being a father and wanting to be with your kids, wanting to spend time with them as much time as you can, and then having roadblocks, everywhere you turn. And then on top of that, having to pay child support for a child you can't see. It
Yeah.
just pours salt on the wound. And it's a very, very tough time of life for a father who's going through that.
Yeah.
And if they haven't had good training, good advice, and they've let their child support pile up and they've got a rearage, that's an even bigger problem.
Yeah.
So, what do you do in Franklin County, or what can you do, and what is your practice in working with a father who has perhaps he's had addictions or he's been in and out of jail and he's got all this child support arrearage, but he's seen the light and he wants to do better. How do you work with them in terms of helping them to be able to manage all that arrearage and still be able to feed himself?
So I would say, really like leaning on our partners, right? So maybe getting them if employment is a barrier, right? Referring them over to Jewish Family Services to our career consultant where he can assist him with appointment to gain gainful employment or better employment. Referring him over to maybe Father Up where he can go to a fatherhood curriculum so he can understand a little bit better. But when it comes to arrearages, just to get him into a pattern of paying, right? Because we know if you've been through everything and maybe you haven't paid for a while, if he has, depending on our arrearages, we may be able to even work with him on forgiving some of the arrears if it's owed to the state of Ohio. So, that's one thing that we've been able to do with some fathers to get them back in a pattern of paying child support and really getting that money over to support the child.
So I'm thinking of one instance where a father has made a lot of those mistakes I talked about,
Mhm.
but he's clean. He's in a program. He's got a job now. He's got an
Mhm.
apartment. He's got 6 grandchildren that he's trying to help take care of, and he's got thousands, actually multiple tens of $1,000s in arrearage
Yeah.
that he's trying to pay off. Um, and it's a substantial amount he's paying every month. Now think about what I just told you of what he's having to deal with. Um, so he is really struggling. So if he were in Franklin County, I could refer him to you, and you could perhaps help work out a more reasonable payment plan, or maybe even help get some of that, if it's owed to the state or to the county, to get some of that forgiven.
Yes, yes. So we will be able to do that. Yep. We have done that before. I think we was just able to work with one father who had multiple cases, and some of it was even arrears, and really having our legal team and everybody come together with the Franklin County Man's Unit was able to get this father a reasonable order, right? Reasonable orders, not just orders. So that was like, I would say that's one of our success stories where he was able to help father with, I think he had 4 or 5 cases, and we all was able to get him reasonable orders. He was happy. The co-parents, the mothers was happy as well. So I would say, yeah, we're able to do certain things, but it's also case by case too. So yeah.
Sure,
Yep.
sure. Well, excellent. Well, I hope just sharing that and hearing you, someone listening, will understand that their case may not be hopeless. It probably isn't hopeless,
Exactly.
but you've got to seek out the help, right? You got to advocate for yourself
Yep.
and ask questions. Make the phone calls, get the appointments, and just talk about it. Lay your situation out and say, "Hey, here's my situation. I really want to take
Mhm.
care of this, but here, in reality, this is all I can do. Can you help me?"
Yep, and that's the biggest thing, Eli, I think is just, really reaching out to your support officer and seeing, is anything that I can do? Is there something better that I can do? Really engaging with our system. That's what we say. Communication is key when it comes to working with child support, but definitely when it comes to working with Franklin County child support.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna I'm gonna back up a minute here. I'm gonna ask you about your experience as a dad.
Okay.
You have how many children?
4. Yeah, I
You
got
have
4.
you have 4. All right, my hero. All right, so and you all live together in the same home?
Yes, yes, yes. So I have
Okay.
all my children is about one woman. Yes, yes,
All right. All
yes.
right.
On my
All right.
walls. Yeah.
All right. Um, so tell me about their genders and ages.
So I have a son that's 16, a daughter that's 13. And then, we kind of, during COVID, we had 2 more kids. So we have, you know, I was almost
That's hilarious.
I was almost done. We was at the finish line, and I'm like, "Oh, man." I seen the light, me and my wife, like, "Yeah, we about to start taking some vacations," but, God had the plans for us, so,
So
I
I hadn't heard the expression. So you got 2 COVID babies.
I got a 3-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter, so, yeah, so I'm definitely busy all the time.
Yes, you are. That's funny to me. All right, so tell me, what has been your biggest challenge in being a dad? What is the thing that has tried you the most?
Um, Challenge, let's see, I think maybe getting them to understand that me and my wife was once teenagers too, right? And, we've been there, and a lot of stuff that you may be facing, we know how to guide you through that, right? So really being that guide and really showing my older kids that, look, this is something that, we've been through before. So I would say that really getting them to understand that, hey, we haven't always been, mom and dad. We've been teenagers before. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really important for the teenagers. Yeah. So the younger crew, the COVID crew, what's been your biggest challenge there?
Oh my goodness. Oh, with the younger crew, it's really being patient, right? Because I think we had got, we still have patience, but now your patience got to really be even more patient because now you got two toddlers running around the house and, showing them right from wrong. And then even talking to the older kids and saying, hey, we can't do that no more. We got the two little kids looking at y'all too. So, yeah, having patience for everybody and really, sometimes I just sit back on the couch and just watch these kids do, just run around and, act crazy. They could do what kids do. So, yeah.
And they do it well, right?
Yep, the bull. Yep.
So with the little ones, what has been your greatest joy? I mean, what brings you the most joy?
Oh my goodness. My greatest joy is walking through the door. When I come home from work, man, really walking through the door and these kids is running down the steps, screaming my name, "Daddy, daddy, daddy." And they both want to be picked up, so I gotta pick them up or both. It's that's just feel good. I could have the worst day in the world and come home and them two really running towards me and screaming my name. They both want to be hugged and kissed and everything. So that makes everything better right then and there. It does. That's my greatest joy.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
So what about with the older ones? What's bringing you the most joy?
With them, I think really seeing them become their own person, right? Really being able to see me and my wife in them, right? So we can kind of sit back and say, "Oh yeah, we know where you got that from," or "We know where they got that." But them becoming their own person, and always my daughter, she's very outspoken. So I really love that about her, with her being very outspoken, because that's something that I just don't ever want to take away from her. I enjoy you being outspoken. Really expressing how you feel. And it's the same way with my son, he got some characteristics where I really enjoy seeing that, him being a hard worker, him, putting in the extra work. I do a lot of teaching through sports. Both of my kids play sports. My son played football and run track. My daughter played basketball and run track. So really them playing sports and going through different things in sports, maybe some adversity or something like that. I think it kind of gives me like the character that they have right now. And really like I would just say, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with seeing that through sports and really being able to say, well, maybe we need to tune this up a little bit, or maybe we need to work on that a little bit more, so yeah. Yeah, that's my greatest joy, is just watching them become their own person.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned as a parent?
Every child is different. Every child is different. That's my biggest lesson. All four of my kids is different. They all got their own thing about it, man. Every child is different. I can't use the saying, just like we do, every case here is different. Every child I have is different. So yeah.
And you have to learn how to work with them according to their personality.
Exactly.
Right? Can't treat them all the same because they're not the same, right?
Well, not the same. They are not the same.
So let me ask it a different way. I was going to ask you who makes the rules. Hopefully it's a team effort, but how does that work in your home?
Far as the rules, for
the
that.
family rules, behaviors, and chores, and all those things that come with being a parent.
I would say me and my wife, we work together on that.
You do it
So,
together.
yeah, we work together. It's always teamwork. And, you know, when stuff get a little crazy, we kind of go in a room and shut the door and I ask her, what is going on around here? You know, what's going on around here? And we got to regroup and go back downstairs and say, look, this is what's going to happen. So, yeah, we work together on that. We definitely, we teamwork, you know, we understand that both of us really, you know, we value each other. So we work together. When it comes to everything, we really work together as a team. Yeah.
Is
And
she
then,
a state?
no, she's not. No.
She works
Yes.
outside the home.
Yeah. So us really working together on everything. And yeah, I think that, and that's the same thing. That's kind of like the same approach that we want to instill in our kids too, is that, you know, it's teamwork, right? So them working together on stuff, all four of them, even with the gap. So that's one thing when we had the two younger kids, the two older kids, like, well, them is two young kids. I don't really bother with them, but we want that family to really be tight, right? So when we gone, we still want y'all to get together and on, you know, birthdays, Thanksgiving, you know, get together even when it's not a holiday. You know, we want to carry that family tradition.
Do you have one child who is, would you say would be, gotta be careful because they may be watching this at some point. Let me ask it. I probably shouldn't ask this question because then you'd have to answer it. Okay, so I'm not going to ask you which child is the bigger challenge, unless you want to address that.
I'm not going to answer that because I know they're going to watch this. So
all right, so nix that. We won't ask that question. I don't want to get you in trouble.
yeah.
All right. So when we come back after this second and final timeout, I'm going to ask you about your aspirations for, first of all, your own family, and then for your agency, for the work that you do in the fatherhood space. What do you hope to see over the next 5 years? What do you want to look back on and say that went well? All right. My guest is Joe Scrutchen. We're going to be back and continue our conversation with him after this brief timeout. Stay with us.
Fathering Strong informs, engages, and empowers dads to be their best as fathers. Visit our website, fatheringstrong.com, for a wealth of resources, including informative videos, articles, books, devotionals, courses, research, and more. The Fathering Strong mobile app is a platform that empowers dads to connect with each other for mutual encouragement and support. Download it for free at fatheringstrong.com. And now, back to our conversation on the Fathering Strong podcast.
Joe Scrutchen is my guest today. He is with the Franklin County Child Support Agency. He's the Fatherhood Coordinator at that agency, and he's a part of the social program division, or however you call it there in Franklin County. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I want to ask you, Joe, about what you see for the future going forward. Let's start with your own family. Transport yourself 5 years into the future. All right. What do you want to look back and see?
5 years from the future, I have, you know, a son in college. You know, I think what I want to look back and see is that all the hard work that he put in, that he's able to go to college and really be the person that he want to be. You know, that's what I'll look back and see. And I think that's the same thing for my daughter as well. And then just the younger kids is getting into school. You know, but I think ultimately I really wanted to see, you know, all my kids really just, you know, be better than what me and my wife is, you know, us really setting them, like, you know, our ceiling is their floor. So, you know, they have, you know, expectations to live up to, and really them just, you know, being better than us. You know, that's what I want to do, really grow this family and from generation to generation, you know.
Excellent. Now, in terms of the space in which you work with fathers, what would you like to be able to say has been accomplished as you look back? 5 years.
Cool. I want to say that being accomplished is us being at Family Center Agency. So when fathers come in the door, they feel welcomed. I think we're already working towards that. I would like to see us in the hospitals when it comes to paternity testing, really educating fathers right there on site. I would like to see, like I said, collaboration is key. So really us working with more community partners to really bring these services together and us working together as one, not in silos, right? So all of us working together as one. So if I can't provide this, where I can send you over here to get it from John, or I can send you over there to get it from Nick, So just us working together and really being able to just provide fathers with services that they need. So more so I would say kind of like a coalition, right? We're putting a coalition together and really working like that. That's what I would like to see.
Oh, it's excellent. You're doing great work there. Congratulations on that. And I have very little doubt that you will be able to accomplish your goals for both your family and for the work that you do there in Columbus. I want to thank you for being with us today on the Fathering Strong podcast. If someone wants to get a hold of you, they've got questions, or would just like to know more about Franklin County Child Support or anything related to fatherhood, how may they reach you?
So they can reach me at my direct line is 614-961-1864. And then you can also reach me at joseph.scrutchen@jfs.ohio.gov. Feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call. Feel free to leave a voicemail if I'm unavailable. So, yes.
Thank you so much. Joe Scrutchen, my guest today on the Fathering Strong podcast. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today. And join us again for another installment of the Fathering Strong podcast.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Fathering Strong podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, were inspired, challenged, and encouraged. By subscribing, you won't miss an episode as you'll receive notifications of each new posting. Go to the Fathering Strong YouTube channel to subscribe. For an informative weekly read, sign up for the Fathering Strong blog posts. Find them at urbanlight.org. Fathering Strong is powered by Urban Light Ministries, a nonprofit Christian organization that has been serving families for nearly 30 years. Charitable gifts by people like you enable us to offer resources free of charge. Go to www.urbanlight.org to give. Thank you. Join us for the next installment of the Fathering Strong podcast.